Hey guys, so welcome to this math video. I am going to be streaming this live on Twitch just to see if, I don't know, anyone wants to chat while I'm doing it. Just makes it a little bit more fun for me. Someone comes on by, and then afterwards, I'll just do my regular Twitch thing while hitting stop recording. So here we go. We're solving our quadratic formula classwork here. And the goal here is to get x by itself. And we specifically learned a formula we'll be using for every single one of these questions. If you have forgotten it, I will remind you that there are two forms of it. There is one with a single fraction that we'll be using when we're able to use the calculator. And there's also one with two fractions that will be better when we need to reduce without a calculator. So we have this negative b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a, or alternatively, the same exact formula as two separate fractions. And we'll use that more sparingly, but it does have its uses. So anyways, let's check this out. This, by the way, only applies. There's this big if. I want to remember this big if. There's an if here. It has to be true. It must be an equation of the form ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. If you don't have a quadratic equation that is equal to 0, you are not able to use the quadratic formula. So let's go ahead and start right away. So we have a quadratic equation. We have an x squared. It's equal to 0 already. We can immediately apply the quadratic formula. Please note, as a reminder, you are able to use other forms of solving equations when you actually have the quiz. Now that we've learned all the forms, you are free to use whichever methods you would like. But we need to be able to choose specifically quadratic formula for this assignment. But once the quiz comes up, you can use whatever you'd like. Factoring, completing the square, quadratic formula, you pick your favorite. All right, so we have the A, the 1. B is 4, C, negative 96, and you apply that formula directly. So we have negative B, that is negative 4, plus or minus. We got our square roots. We got a B squared minus 4, A, C. A common question that people were asking me in class, is there always a 4 here? And the answer is yes. 4 is part of the formula. Always going to be a minus 4 there. No big deal. And then we're dividing that all by 2 times 1. Finishing this question up requires the use of the calculator. So we're going to grab our calculator and put the entire thing in. If you're at home and don't have a calculator with you, I do recommend practicing this when we get back to class, just so you're able to do it when it comes to that quiz time. So we're going to hit alpha, y equal, and then enter. So again, that's alpha, y equal, and enter at the bottom. And we're going to type it in exactly as it appears, negative 4 plus square root. And if you notice, I said exactly as it appears, and then I've only put a plus instead of plus or minus. That means both plus and minus. We're going to be doing both of those when it comes time to do it. So we get the 4 squared minus 4 times 1 times negative 96, all divided by 2 times 1. And boom, there we go. We get 8. So we have x is equal to 8. And now, using the same calculator, we're going to go up and highlight this guy right here. And we're going to scroll over all the way to the left here until we are on top of that plus sign. When we are on top of that plus sign, we're going to go ahead and change it to a minus. And now it gives us that second answer of negative 12. And that's it. That's the whole question. We have finished the problem. We're going to be repeating this process for the first 4 questions. It's almost exactly the same idea. So here we go. We have to have it equal to 0. It is not currently equal to 0. So we need to make it equal to 0, and we're going to do that by subtracting 8 on both sides. And that's going to give me 5k squared minus 7k minus 66 is equal to 0 over here. Then we are going to apply our quadratic formula. So again, we need to be able to do that. We have A is equal to 5. We have B is equal to negative 7. We have C is equal to negative 66. And therefore, X is equal to, we got negative B. I'm going to pause there for a moment here. Negative in the formula And then b in this problem is negative. So make sure you remember that we have two negative signs in this problem. If you would prefer just to write positive 7 right away because you're comfortable remembering that a negative of a negative is a positive, feel free to do so. Plus or minus, we got a square root of b squared minus 4a and then c. Be careful, make sure that, again, you have those parentheses where needed. Because if you forget these parentheses, for instance, the calculator will square incorrectly. It'll give you a negative 49 instead of positive 49 in the bottom there. 2 times 5. And therefore x equals, and again, we're plugging it directly into the calculator. Some people, what they like to do is just to kind of do a little bit of light cheating of like just replacing what's already there, and that's totally fine. So we're going over here, and we are replacing every single one of these 4s with a negative 7. You don't have to do it this way, so second insert, negative 7, parentheses, boom. So again, I'm just typing in as it appears, insert, undo the insert, negative 7 minus 4 times what is, a is 5, this is negative 66, and a is 5, and we have x is 22/5. If you decide to do it in decimal version, that's going to be 4.4. And if you have the other version, this one does not have any decimals whatsoever. We instead get negative 3. Easy enough. Plugged it right in. Continuing on, we're on to problem number 3. Problem number 3 is almost exactly the same in nature as problem number 2. So again, it's just more practice of the same kind. We're going to go ahead and add 2 to both sides. Remember that even though there's no 2 to add, that's okay. We're just going to go ahead and make a slot for it. 2x squared plus 4x plus 2 equal to 0. One thing that could make your life a tiny bit easier in terms of like typing things into the calculator is not including things that you don't need to include. In order to do that, there's a trick here. You could divide everything by 2, and that would make it have a bunch more 1s. And when you're multiplying by 1, you kind of don't need it. However, for the sake of this problem, I am just going to leave all the 2's in there. So a is equal to 2, b is equal to 4, c is equal to 2. And therefore, x is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all divided by 2a. That's 2. And then again, plugging it directly into the calculator. I don't think I need to show the calculator every single time. And I can do this faster if I don't have to hold it under the camera. I have faith in your abilities to type things in. All divided by that. And if you do it right, you'll get x is equal to negative 1. And boom, 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 boom. Negative 1 again. So this is one of those situations where you have a double root. That was expected, actually, and that's okay. So again, whenever you have only one answer to the problem, that's okay. It's called a double root, also called a repeated 0. So those are the 2 ways we can discuss that one if we need to. Off to problem number 4. So on problem number 4 here, we need everything to equal 0 to do these questions. We don't have it equal to 0 here. We're going to move everything off to the left-hand side. We're going to do minus 6n squared, minus 11, plus 8n. So that was going to be minus 6n squared, minus 11, and plus 8n. So doing all that, adding them up, we're going to get 2n squared plus 1n, which you can just leave as n by itself, minus 36 is equal to 0. And for this particular problem, the variable has switched to n, and that's okay. And actually up here, the variable is k. I should have written a k here. That was actually bad on my part. Here we have n is equal to, and we have negative b, and I guess I should have written out what a, b, and c are. Okay, we have negative b plus or minus the square root b squared minus 4a C, all divided by 2a. And finishing off this question, we have that -1 plus or minus. Oh, what am I doing? I am skipping ahead. That's what we're going to be doing on number 5. My bad. On this one, we're plugging it directly into the calculator again. I got ahead of myself in terms of what I was thinking. We are okay. -1, and we got the plus version, the square root. And again, I'm not showing you in the calculator. If you really want to see it, I can show you after, just to make you happy. But I have a feeling that you're able to plug this in after seeing those first two. If you get n is equal to 4 for our first question, and for our second one, once you've hit the minus button, we're going to have -9/2. Actually, we'll be showing the calculator in the next one, because the next one, things get a little bit funky. So let's check out number 5. We only got 3 questions left to go. So on question number 5 here, it's already equal to 0. A is 12, B is 3, C is -16. However, what's a little bit different on this one is numbers don't come out as nice and pretty when you actually do the formula. So we have -3 plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac all divided by 2a. And here's the problem. If you were to plug this into the calculator, I'm just going to go ahead and do that. So we're going to go alpha y equal enter, and we got -3 plus square root, and we got b squared minus 4 a c all divided by 2a. If you hit enter on this, you get this infinite decimal that goes on forever. This is actually an irrational number. It never has a pattern that repeats. It will go on forever and ever and ever. It cannot be written as a fraction without a square root. Whenever you have this situation, this is the type of answer you actually would like that decimal in certain classes when it says to approximate the answer or to round it to a certain number of decimal places. But for my class and for most math classes, they prefer the exact answer. So to get the exact answer, what we actually need to do is only work on the part that is under the square root. So we are not going to do the entire thing in the calculator. We're only going to do that part that is under the square root. So to do this part, we're going to go 3 squared minus 4 times 12 times -16. Just that part that's under the square root. And in this case, we get 777. So we can go ahead and get x is equal to -3 plus or minus the square root of 777 all divided by 24. I am completely fine leaving the question like this. However, some books will try to simplify it. I think you should probably just leave it like this for my class, and that'll be totally fine. No issues there whatsoever. Yeah, I'm just going to leave it like that. Continuing on to number 6. Number 6 is the same concept as number 5. So we're going to go ahead and subtract 2x squared on both sides. And that's going to give us a single x squared plus 12x minus 2 is equal to 0. And then we went ahead and needing our a is equal to 1, b is equal to 12, c is equal to -2, and therefore x is equal to -12 plus or minus our square roots. We got b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And yet again, we're in that same exact situation where if you plug it into the calculator, you get some crazy decimal numbers. So instead, we're only going to plug in the part that is under the square root. And if you do that, looks like we're going to get 144 plus 8, which is 152, divided by 2. This question is actually reducible. It is possible to reduce this into a prettier number by a long shot. However, that is not required for my class. It may be required in one of your college courses. And if it is required in one of your college courses, I request that you come in and talk to me so that I can help you reduce these fractions. It's really not that bad, but it's not a requirement for my class. I'm just going to leave it there and call it a day. We only have one more question left. So we have 3x squared. We need to move this 10x over. And again, just because it's not there doesn't mean much. We just move the 10x, minus 3 equals 0. So A is 3, B is -10, C is -3. So X is equal to, and we got negative B plus or minus B squared minus 4AC all divided by 2A. And yet again, if you tried to plug this into the calculator, it would not be a happy camper. So instead, we're just going to leave it as the exact answer. And when you do that, we'd have 100 minus, this is like 36, minus negative 36, so 136. And yet again, that's a number that also would reduce in the calculator, but you don't need to. You can just leave it like that. And we're all done. Only a 15-minute video. Have a wonderful rest of your day and weekend. Peace out, guys.